Pretoria Boys High School pupil who was accused of making threats about a possible school shooting and targeting a teacher has been allowed to return to school after the Gauteng Department of Education overturned a recommendation that he be expelled. The 16-year-old, who cannot be identified because he's a minor, allegedly made threatening remarks in WhatsApp voice notes and was also accused of appearing in videos involving firearms and drug use. Now, the school governing body argued for his expulsion, citing concerns about safety and misconduct. The learner's family has disputed some of the allegations, including claims that a firearm seen in the videos was a real weapon. Joining us now is Jaco Deacon, Chief Executive Officer of the Federation of Governing Bodies of South African Schools. Doc, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this afternoon. So the department overruled a unanimous disciplinary committee recommendation for expulsion. In your view, what message does this then send to schools across South Africa that are trying to enforce discipline?
Well, the message is clear. You're on your own. Before a governing body can recommend expulsion, they go through a very thorough process on school level to really assist, guide, help that family and that learner to comply with all the rules and regulations. So they've been through all the means possible in terms of what they're allowed to do. Now, the Schools Act says school governing body cannot expel a learner, but they can bring an application for expulsion to the head of the Department of Education. And this is what they've done in this instance. And then the department said, we're going to decline that. It's still your problem. And I think that's the sad part, that schools are really alone in this battle to deal with violent behavior and threats and to make a workplace safe for the educators. And that's unfortunate.
It certainly is unfortunate. I mean, if a pupil has pleaded guilty to threatening a school shooting, was linked to a Glock pistol and was also filmed firing live rounds, yet is returning to class, at what point does the department's decision then cross the line from policy disagreement into a genuine safety failure?
No, I think they've already crossed. I mean, they took the decision they're not really going to assist the school, but luckily they're back in consultation with one another, so hopefully there's some sort of resolution can be reached. But the bottom line is, the Pretoria Boys High School is a well-known school. This is unfortunately a set of facts that's playing out in more schools, not only in Pretoria Boys, where schools literally feel we don't have the support of the department to really back us when there's really trouble in the school, where the teachers employed by the very same department ask their employer for help to say, we feel unsafe in the workplace, please come and assist us. And the department simply fall back on the rhetoric that there's a constitutional right to education, therefore the child must remain at the school, and completely ignore the fact that learners or individual learners can sometimes hamper or take away the right of 30 or 40 other kids to the right to education through means of their bad behavior. So the emphasis should not only be on the individual, but really what's best for the school and also what's best for the educators in that school.
And talking really what's best for the stakeholders involved, you've cited the George Randall Primary School ruling, and this was in the Eastern Cape, which found that the right to education can be limited by serious misconduct. Why do you think the department appears to be disregarding that legal precedent?
I think they're simply ignorant. The problem is when you expel a learner from a school, it's no longer the obligation of that specific governing body or school to provide the education, but the responsibility now shifts over to the head of the department. Now, a few years ago, one of the previous ministers of education decided to close down all our special schools dealing with learners that's constantly in conflict, not only with the law, but challenging the rules. So our boys' towns and girls' towns. And suddenly the HOD must now take care of that child and place the child in a school that will help and assist. And I think the HODs are so reluctant to do that because they don't have proper schools anymore to really help those learners. And I must say, we're in the business of second chances. But in this instance, it's no longer for that school. They don't have the ability to provide a second chance. They've already done that. So for the HOD to really assist the learner, you need specialized educators in a specialized environment to really help that learner that's in need and that family. And that will take more than ordinary public school. We again need special schools that will focus on those kids to create those opportunities for them to really develop. But currently we don't have it, and that's why the HODs are so reluctant to expel learners.
So, Dr. Deacon, teachers and learners now at Pretoria Boys High have to share a school with a pupil who named a specific teacher as a shooting target. What practical recourse do staff members have when the department won't act?
Well, first of all, they need to lodge complaints through the unions at the provincial level, and obviously complain on the national level as well. So do have those internal grievance procedures. But the governing body, and I presume that's what they will do, is we're a week away from the school exam. Some schools already start next week with the exam process, is to manage the situation as good as they can. So for the exam, it's easy to accept the learner in the school and let the learner write the exam in isolation, let him come in and leave the school without any contact with other learners or the teachers, and that's doable. But when the next term starts, it's so difficult to provide education at the school in isolation. So it's either through distance learning or through different tasks and programs that the child can do at home. So it's a short-term solution. So if the department doesn't come to the table, then the school are really in a very difficult situation because they must provide education. Then the next step will obviously be to bring a court application to force the department to take responsibility for that child.
So the department's solution is a 12-month suspended sanction as well as intervention programs. In your experience, are these measures adequate responses to threats of this severity, or are they fundamentally mismatched to the risk?
I think the department really doesn't understand the process on school level. I mean, when when a school asks for an expulsion from the school, it means that they've been through all the alternatives. Remember, schools simply don't say, we don't like you, you're out. Schools are there to guide, assist these young learners. So they've been through all this process. I can promise you, when you go to the HOD, you'll find a file that's that thick with all the information on what the school already did. The intervention programs, the strategies, communication with the family, that's standard process. So when a school asks for the HOD, please expel this learner, it means they've reached the end of their line. So what the department is now proposing, I can promise you it's already in the file. The school's been there, they've done that, and now they say we can do nothing more. Please help. It's a plea for assistance and for help. One of the other platforms, I said, should there be a shooting before the department says, well, now it's serious? I think the threat is serious enough. They need to respond.
Yeah, and just on that point, Doc, whether there should be a shooting before the department acts, 2 Gauteng learners died in stabbing incidents around the very same time that this particular case was unfolding. The disciplinary committee specifically also noted that violence is almost always preceded by ignored warning signs. Do you think the department is not connecting these dots?
No, absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. I mean, it's there. It's there. And I mean, the department's been out in the media to say we'll protect the learners and we protect the schools and our teachers. Now, this is your opportunity to prove that, and they fail that. So they're failing the system. They're not only failing the learners at that specific school, they're sending a message to all the other teachers and to all other schools to say, you're on your own. We don't care about you. And that's the wrong message.
The SGB has indicated that it may take the department's decision on review. Can you walk us through what that process would look like and whether governing bodies in South Africa genuinely have the power to override a department's ruling?
They've got the power to take this matter to court, but not all school communities have the finances to bring a review application. So you basically take the decision of the HOD on the review to say, well, in terms of your decision, which is an administrative decision, didn't act procedurally fair, didn't consider wasn't reasonable and wasn't legal in terms of the process. There are certain criteria the SGB must prove in a court action, and it will take some time. And unfortunately, when we go into the litigation mode, we're opposing parties. Now it's the SGB against the department, whilst the construct of the Schools Act is we work as partners, and I don't see this partnership. So unless you have substantive funding behind you to really challenge the decisions of the HOD, then you're basically without remedy if you don't have the funds. In this instance, the SGB are willing to take the matter to court, and like I've said earlier, luckily there's engagements between the parties, so I really hope there's a resolution. But the first message coming from the department is you're on your own. So the threat of legal action forced them to the consultation process, and I really hope they can reach an agreement.
So, Doc, beyond the SGB, beyond the department, and just the back and forth between these entities, what message does this send to learners, to those that are sitting in the classrooms that would experience some of the behavior from their counterparts and then not see consequences in the form of expulsion? What impact would this have on the children that are sitting in those classrooms?
Now, I frequently hear that politicians say education is a societal matter and education matters and it takes a village to raise a child. But when you don't act, when the other learners' right to education is infringed, then you send a different message. Then you tell those learners, you're not important. We focus on the individual. Your rights doesn't count. But I want to bring in another angle. It cannot only be a school issue. Schools are dealing with issues coming from society. So school is simply a mirror to show society that's what happened. That's what's happening in our communities, and we need to deal with this. So when we deal with learner discipline, with learner conduct, if you don't work in partnership, number one, with the parents of the child, which is still primarily responsible for the education, and the broader community, then schools feel alone. Now, I think it's so important that we get a social worker in every single school to assist the school to facilitate this interaction between the different stakeholders and parties and to assist and to help. But it's a societal matter. So as school communities, we need to speak up. We need to help and support one another in this process. It should not only be for the school to say, defend our learners, it's your obligation. It's our obligation as society to say when we're not happy and to tell the department we need serious support. You cannot provide lip service. It's our children in that school.
Certainly is. Dr. Jaco Deacon, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. That's the CEO of the Federation of Governing Bodies of South African Schools, speaking to us there about that situation with Pretoria Boys High and the Department of Education in the Gauteng province.